We've already seen how we can write a fraction as a decimal without using a calculator, and now we're going to have a look at how to write a fraction as a percentage. The most important thing to remember is that a percentage is really just a fraction with a very special denominator. So let's start with the easiest possible fraction, or at least I think it is. So if we look at the fraction a half, and we want to write that as a percentage, what we're really thinking about is what is the equivalent fraction when we have 100 as the denominator. And that's telling us something out of 100, and that gives us a percentage. So thinking about equivalent fractions here, we need to think about what if we multiply the 2 by to get 100 and multiply the 1 by the same thing. So we're dividing 2 into 100, we get 50, and so we just multiply the 1 by 50 to get 50 out of 100. So 1/2 is the same as 50 hundredths, and that means 50%, 50 per 100. So 1/2 can be written as 50%. So that's something that you're familiar with in sort of everyday life, aren't you? That a half and 50% mean the same sort of thing. So let's look at another fraction now. Same sort of idea, but this time 3/5. So we're thinking, what would that be out of 100? So we're thinking, what have we multiplied 5 by to get 100? So we're dividing 5 into 100, and that goes 20 times, doesn't it? So we're multiplying 3 by 20, and that gives us 60. So 3/5 is 60%. So same idea, slightly more difficult because not such a usual fraction. We don't often come across 3/5 in everyday life. So let's take that one stage further. Right, so we'll leave those at the side so that we can refer back to them if we need to. And so this time let's have a look at 9/20. 20 still does divide into 100, so we can use the same method. How many 20s in 100? That's 5, isn't it? So 9 times 5 gives us 45. So 9/20 is the same as 45%. So far, all the examples I've chosen have got a number in the denominator that divides into 100. So it makes it very easy to do the question, doesn't it? We just need to multiply by a simple number. So let's now move this to one side and think of a more difficult example. So before we look at the next example, let's just think about a different way to think about the examples we've already done. We could have converted a half to a percentage in a slightly different way, just thinking about it as 1 divided by 2, which is really a half, and then multiplied it by 100%. 100% is still 1, isn't it? And then we could change the order here. Well, obviously 1, multiplying or divided by 1 leaves it the same, so we could kind of forget about that. And then do the calculation of dividing by 2 after the 100. So we've just got 100 divided by 2, and that's 50%. And we could do the same sort of thing with the 3/5. We could think of that as 3 divided by 5 times 100%. And then we could say, well, you've got 3 times 100 is 300 divided by 5, and 300 divided by 5 is 60%. And we could do the same sort of thing with the 9 divided by 20, say that that's 9 divided by 20 times 100%. Let's just do it for completeness, shall we? So let's just put that here. 9 divided by 20 is 9 divided by 20 times 100%. And what's an easy way of working this one out? You know what we could do with this one? Let's do 9 times 100 divided by 20, so that we're getting 9 times, and 100 divided by 20 is 5. Write it that way around instead. You see that however we do this, because of BODMAS, it doesn't matter what order we do the multiplication and division. So even if we'd chosen to do these questions in this way, we'd still get the same answers as we had before. So 50%, 60% and 45%. So I just wanted to look at that so that when we look at the next example, you can see why that will work. So we're going to use this method to work on our next example. So I've left the last example at the side, so we've got that to refer to if we need to. So we're going to look at 3/7 this time. So this time, if we tried to write 3/7 as something over 100, we'd have a problem because the 7 doesn't go exactly into 100. So what we're going to do is think of it as 3 divided by 7 times 100%. In other words, what did we do last time? Do we want to do exactly like that? I think actually here, the best thing to do, simplest thing to do, is to multiply the 3 and the 100 together and just write this as 300 divided by 7. We could put the 300 over 7 or just write 300 divided by 7. And we haven't got a calculator for this example, have we? So we'll just do this by, we could do it by long division, short division. And so we're dividing 7 into 300. So 7 doesn't go into 3, so nothing above the 3. Put the 3 just in front of the next 0. So 7's into 30. Well, 7 goes into 28 4 times. 4 7's 28, so 30 minus 28 is 2. 7's into 20. Well, 7 goes into 14 twice. And then we're going to put another 0 in here because it's going to be a remainder, isn't there? And then 7's into, oh, we haven't got the remainder written in yet, have we? So 20 minus 14 is 6. So 7's into 60. 7 goes into 60. How many times? It will be 8 is 56. And then a remainder of 4. And we can keep going on and on and on along here, except that we probably don't need to put all those zeros in there and continue along here because it's probably enough to say that 3/7 is equal approximately to 43%, isn't it? That's probably enough for our purposes. But if you wanted to, you could continue and find out what 3/7 is exactly. You could either write it as a fraction or you could have show the recurring decimal. We could continue the calculation, couldn't we? So 3/7 is 43%, and that's to the nearest whole number.